Sorry. And now, coming to you from a undisclosed location deep in the heart of American flyover country, I'm Jeffrey Daugherty. Boy, that hasn't happened to me before. The Christian whistleblower, and we are maybe under the radar, but always over the top. And today, over the top in a way that is not real pleasurable, a way that's not real fun. We're going to talk about a very serious subject today, and just going to spend a few minutes with you at 5:30 Central Time, which is just over an hour-ish from now. We'll have Jenny Moonstone in the building. Well, not really in the building, but we'll have Jenny Moonstone on the channel for another great discussion with her, and maybe some surprises about the discussion, and maybe some readings from Jenny Moonstone. So make sure that you're here to check that out. But now, and we are going to talk about a very serious subject. Pardon me one second. We are going to talk about a very serious subject, ladies and gentlemen. And we're talking about the subject of teen suicide. And it says a UK report, 1 in 4 teen suicides involves the internet. I saw it on many different outlets. This one comes from Newsmax.com. Fairly okay. I don't, it's not Drudge Report, but I use Newsmax from time to time. And Newsmax.com is reporting on a UK report that says 1 in 4 teen suicides involves the internet. That's 25% of the suicides of teens in the UK involves the internet. The University of Manchester professor Lewis Appleby, who heads England's National Suicide Prevention Strategy and National Confidential Inquiry into Suicide and Homicide, he studied almost 600 suicides. So it's a rather sizable sample committed by young people, and found that nearly 130 had used the internet for something related to suicide, including searching for suicide methods, making suicidal posts on social media, and or being bullied, ladies and gentlemen, online. So those of you that have teens in your life, or those of you that are teens, if you are teens, be smart. If you have teens in your life, be a parent, be an adult. And I'm going to tell you right now, watch what they do on the internet. I remember my kids didn't like it, but if they weren't paying rent, I was in charge. And I would take a look at what they were doing. I'd take a look in their drawers. I'd take a look in their closets. And as soon as they didn't want me to pay their rent, they didn't have to worry about me checking their stuff every now and then. And that's just the way it is, ladies and gentlemen. Would you rather find your teen having committed suicide, or would you rather take a chance of upsetting them by being involved in their life? It's called parenting. Stir up some intestinal fortitude and be a parent. It's unacceptable that social media, the report says, have shown little interest or concern until now. The call from ministers for them to exercise greater social responsibility or face regulation is right. They're talking about politicians over there in the UK when they say ministers. Teenage suicides rose by 67% in England and Wales between 2010 and 2017. Although suicide and self-harm are often driven by financial and emotional deprivation, social media does normalize these acts as being the next step if you get into difficulties. And it becomes something that transmits across a subculture of young people. It becomes part of how they talk about their lives and about how they deal with stress, and how they expect to respond when stresses occur. So I'm not for regulation or censorship of the internet. And certainly, if you're going to talk about regulating or censoring the internet, these are the type of things that need to be censored, not people that dare to question the dominant liberal paradigm, at least in the United States. And the bottom line of this report is that it calls for the creation of the duty of care for social media companies and the formation of an external regulator to ensure that code of conduct is in force. The government must act decisively. Ooh, that's really, really dicey. I'm not for the government getting involved. I'm for us getting involved and putting popular pressure on the Facebooks and the Twitters and the Snapchats and the Instagrams and all the other things out there. Put pressure on them, ladies and gentlemen, to self-regulate. I don't want to see the government getting involved in the regulation of the internet, really in any form. And I'm going to say this, and the chat room's going to explode, but I don't care. More and more studies are finding, ladies and gentlemen, more and more studies are finding, and I know that you're not going to like it, but more and more studies are finding that cannabis is strongly linked to depression and suicide in young adults. Teens and young adults who consume cannabis are at an increased risk of depression and suicidal behavior, according to a new study released by a team of researchers at McGill University and Montreal, Quebec. The campaign asked researchers to observe how the brain, which continues to develop, which continues to develop until the age of 25, is affected by using cannabis. Americans who suffer from depression because of earlier, daily, or even occasional use of cannabis. The author stated that if an individual has a predisposition towards suicide or has suicidal thoughts, the increased risk of actually attempting to commit suicide jumps to nearly 50% when combined with the regular or abusive use of cannabis. These findings should inform public health policy and governments to apply preventative strategies to reduce the use of cannabis among the youth. The results were published in the Journal of American Medical Association Psychiatry and are based on a review of over a dozen international studies comprising more than 23,000 individuals. Are you fuckers really that high that you won't allow for the discussion that cannabis could be bad for developing brains? If you are, shame on you. It's a crisis. It's terrible. And we've got to do everything we can to help prevent teen suicide. And if that means that we need to encourage them not to smoke dope, and if I'm all for it, and if that upsets you, I don't give a damn. I really don't. I'm Jeffrey Daugherty, the Christian whistleblower, bringing you the truth, whether you like it or not. I'm the mailman. Maybe this is a check and you don't like it. That's okay. There's a lot of other things you can watch, but you're going to hear the truth when you come to this channel. 5:30, Jenny Moonstone. See you then.